Call of Duty Zombies has had its highs and lows, and as everything does, it's also had its golden age. We're talking about the trailblazer Black Ops 1, which not only set the precedent for the next few games to come, but also brought through the first big names from the COD Zombies community and the YouTube gaming space. Black Ops 1 would become the groundworks for its successors Black Ops 2 and 3 to go on and dominate globally, delivering a captivating community-driven experience that would stick with players forever and create a nostalgia for the golden age of Call of Duty Zombies. Before we talk about the heights of Call of Duty Zombies, we first have to look at the innovator, and the game that started to push the boundaries out for what the Zombies mode would be. That being said, Black Ops 1 began with Richtofen, a map that was originally set to release in Map Pack 4 for World at War Zombies, but eventually had its production extended into the release of Treyarch's next Call of Duty game, Black Ops. This left them with around 15 months to fully develop the map, and in this time they also made two more maps, 5 and a top-down arcade-style almost spin-off mode, Dead Ops Arcade. This is all important as Black Ops needed a strong launch following the success of Modern Warfare 2, and at the time Richtofen would act as a straightforward and engaging introduction that solidified Zombies as a third mode rather than just a bonus afterthought, with the inclusion of the Thundergun, a powerful new wonder weapon, the teleporter mechanic which brought players to the Pack-a-Punch room, all brought together with the iconic 115 Easter egg song. And while the map had a lot of success stories, there were also some criticisms, for example the lack of objectives. For some people, Kino felt too repetitive after a few rounds. The map also had a very low difficulty curve due to its open layout and exploitable training spots like the stage, but overall at release Richtofen was widely embraced as a polished, atmospheric entry point to Black Ops Zombies, though some criticised its simplicity and lack of depth compared to what the mode would later become. But before we can start to talk about the evolution, we have to talk about the cultural impact that Richtofen actually made. It allowed Black Ops Zombies to establish itself as a game mode for 15 years to come, not only in future Call of Duty games but also by becoming the first building blocks for the start of the YouTube gaming space, letting new creators like Syndicate, Yoteslayer and Relaxing End to flourish and become key figures in the community. The videos helped them to dominate the early YouTube gaming scene and push Black Ops Zombies out to new audiences, as the Zombies community was much smaller and less saturated, so these creators stood out by filling specific roles. Relaxing End would showcase his skill while everyone fell in love with Yoteslayer's down-to-earth style and relatability, but most notably Syndicate brought a strong mix of the two, offering his energetic personality and focus on his gameplay. His greatest success came with his iconic Round 115 run, which would later become one of the most known iceberg topics when talking about the history of COD Zombies. To keep it short, the controversies around this run revolve around suspected modding, potential glitch exploitation, and insufficient documentation, amplified by his prominence as a creator. The lack of evidence confirming any of this though has left it to remain a polarizing moment in Zombies history, debated more for its cultural impact as we are now, rather than it actually being a settled fact. Throughout the rest of the Black Ops 1 cycle, Treyarch invested heavily into Zombies, listening to all the community feedback and criticisms and adding a brand new objective in main Easter egg quests. And following Richtofen, they become a tradition for every single original Treyarch Zombies map, with each map's release reuniting the community to find and solve the Easter egg quest. Many memorable side Easter eggs were also created. For example, in Ascension you could destroy the rocket with the ray gun, you got the red phones, the Matryoshka dolls, and the free perks in practically every map. All while the main Easter egg quests were advancing the story, with Moon's main quest ending on a huge cliffhanger into Black Ops 2, the game where I personally believe the golden age of Zombies actually started. And while its launch wasn't off to the greatest start with Transit, early posts initially praised the map for its scale and creativity. For example, the innovation of the bus mechanic, linking smaller areas like the bus depot, farm and town, which would also be released as separate maps, as a groundbreaking evolution of Zombies, with buildables like the turbine and zombie shield accompanying the map. Obviously Transit had its problems, the seemingly endless bugs, the denizens, the fog, the jet gun, all made for what seemed like a flawed experiment, and at the time it did damage the reputation of Zombies, especially being the only launch map as Nuketown was pre-order and DLC gated. Now though, Transit does have its own place of nostalgia for most of the community, most love for its seemingly organised chaos, although a lot of the nostalgia does come from players like me, those that grew up with this map as well as the ones that followed. Transit thrived on co-op play and made it simply chaotic fun, almost rehabilitating it into a flawed gem. There's lots of talk about bringing Transit back in the near future as well, with many Black Ops 3 Custom Zombies remakes, and even rumours of a remake in the early days of Black Ops 6 or 2025's title. Whether this map is involved in the golden age of Zombies depends on who you ask. For me, I'd say it is, purely because I grew up up on that map, but I can see how someone who grew up on Black Ops 1 maps or played them and enjoyed them the most would easily skip transit. But again, depending on who you ask, that doesn't exactly take us to a better map because we've got DWAE next. DWAE innovated in its own way, being one of, if not the first map to take the zombies game at vertical, with a heavy focus on the skyscraper setting, employing elevators and large drops to allow players to traverse the map. This was unique, which is great, but holy fuck did this cause so much outrage. The randomness of the elevators often got you stranded or crushed, and honestly were the real enemy of this map, not the zombies. The vertical layout also made for some pretty tight spaces in what would make DWAE a punishment for the casuals and new players. The trample steam, I'm not even going to go into it. I needed someone else to place it correctly for me because I'll just be flinging myself off the map. DWAE would end up having its own transit type legacy though, as again it seems to be more appreciated today with its own Black Ops 3 custom remakes, and if you look hard enough, there are some calling for a remake in the 2025 title. The major problem these two maps suffered with though is the shadow casted by the next three maps, Mob of the Dead, Buried and Origins. Right off the bat, Mob of the Dead screamed ambition. It wasn't just a zombies map, it told a gritty story about betrayal, redemption and breaking a cycle of violence, all while fighting off hordes in a haunted prison, utilising Alcatraz Island to set the scene and casually involving the Golden Gate Bridge as a pack-a-punch spot. This was cinematic in a way zombies had never seen before, and most importantly the gameplay, it delivered. You had the Hell's Retriever, an upgradable throwable tomahawk that became a fan favourite weapon, the buildable acid gat which was a high rounds machine when it was upgraded, but the real innovation and ultimately the biggest game changer was the afterlife mechanic. Dying let you zap traps and unlock doors as a ghost, adding this whole other strategic layer to the map. And culturally, Mob of the Dead was a breath of fresh air from the last two maps and ultimately a massive turning point for zombies. It drove home that zombies could be more than just survival and could be a story worth caring about. And at the time, zombies videos on YouTube were racking up millions of views, with key players like Syndicate still prominent in the scene and newer YouTubers like Mr. Dalek JD starting to pop up. Next came Buried, another map with major innovations, for example the Paralyzer, the Time Bomb and the involvement of Leroy or Arthur the Giant, who everyone seems to have a story about saving their run. Forums were calling this the most fun map yet, as it became a co-op darling, and culturally it solidified zombies as a sandbox where anything really was possible, with Treyarch throwing the witches into the fray. It still holds a very high level of support to this day, and was definitely a standout in the zombies golden age, at least in my opinion. And last but absolutely not least for Black Ops 2 was Origins, genuinely up there with one of my favourite zombies maps of all time. Again, there is definitely some childhood nostalgia here. I even have some speedrun leaderboard times for the Easter egg, which I think just shows anyone can really do it at this point. Anyway, jaws were dropped with Origins from the get-go, with the opening cutscene essentially being a mini-movie reintroducing our premise characters with the backing track as Shepherd of Fire, now one of the most iconic songs to ever appear in zombies. Gameplay-wise though, Origins was a level above the rest. You've got giant robots storming across the map with collectible parts in, all that go towards building one of the 4 upgradable elemental staffs. The tank recalling to the bus from transit, see, it did come good after all that, it just took a while. But the community lost it. Where forums called Buried the most fun map yet, they were calling Origins the ultimate zombies map, and more new YouTubers like Noah J ended up building careers off its secrets, and to this day in general the map is just the gold standard. These 3 maps alone raised the stakes, each being a legend in their own rights, more buildables, deeper lore, and they influenced every zombies mode since, including what is in my opinion the final game of the golden era, Black Ops 3 Zombies. It kicked things off with Shadows of Evil, set in rain-slick streets with creepy apothecary monsters, with strangely the best and quite frankly only piece of jazz music I've ever listened to. And the gameplay took a huge leap forward. The Beast mode was a nice callback to Afterlife that allowed us to zap new areas of the map open and grapple around, while evolutions of the original Zombie Shield also appeared. Even the Civil Protector was introduced, almost an AI player who protected us for a short time when activated. And culturally, Shadows was a statement, bringing zombies into a new chapter of its golden age, proving it can reinvent itself without losing its soul. Although initially it wasn't for everyone, some online called it too complicated, probably referring to its Easter egg, but it set a tone of ambition that went on to define BO3. It was a bold restart that promised big things. The Giant was also a nice pre-order bonus to throw in for some nostalgia points. No talking points really for this map, it's just a remastered Derice with that BO3 polish. No complaints, and no one actually complained about it. It kept its simplicity, which was mostly its strength, and with some extra content for those that had access to it. Eisendrach, where do I begin? The YouTube Zombies community's godson. Tutorials were racking up millions of views, still waiting on that Firebow one. But it took the fundamentals of what made Origins so good, the scenery, craftable and upgradable wonder weapons in the bows, and some innovations of its own, the Wonder Sphere, even timed low gravity zones being a nice callback to Moon 2. Eisendrach was peak BO3 though. It ranks top tier in the majority of tier lists, the Easter egg was solid, forums explain the significance that this had and future lore theories, and more importantly above all, it's still a very playable map. Here we go, hot takes time. I think it is anyway. I do not like Zetsubo. If there was a miss in the Golden Age, it was this map. I only really played it for the sake of getting carried through the Easter egg, and that was just to complete the super Easter egg. But otherwise, I just don't really like the feel of it, so I won't go into it too much. It definitely split the room looking at the forums though. There's actually some people that agree with me in the sense that watering plants made zero fucking sense and felt pointless. Gorod brought it back though. I don't think many even played it at first due to Zetsubo's opinion split. Yes, that does include me. I think I've played it like a handful of times, but it was pretty easy for me to pick up and understand just getting gameplay for this video, so A+ for that. It's also ranked pretty high up in most tier lists. People seem to enjoy the scale and consistent chaos. Me personally, I fucking hate the Valkyries, just my personal opinion though. Raygun Mark 3's cool, Dragon Shield's cool, Dragon Tobacco Punch is cool, Gauntlet's cool. It's a cool map, I don't mind it. Can't really resonate with it though because of how little I've played it. I'd be lying if I said that 11-year-old me wasn't absolutely feeding off the Fortnite buzz at the time. 11's crazy, by the way. Anyway, Revelations, the mashup map. Sorry, that will be doing a disservice. I do quite like Revelations, to be fair. It's an absolute nostalgia farm, pulling the likes of Origins, Kino, and Mob and making it part of the map while keeping it fresh with reworked classics. The Apothicon Servant having its legitimate upgrade quest, not the dodgy one we got from the bug earlier on in Shadows. Streams were at an all-time peak viewership, although it didn't actually top the better maps we spoke about. It did wrap up what has been the golden age of Black Ops Zombies though. Or did it? Because in May 2017, after BO3's life cycle, Treyarch came back and surprised the entire community with Zombies Chronicles. Honestly, what seems to be evidence of them saying, hey, we made these great fucking maps and it's never going to be like this again, so have them all in a map pack on this crispier engine with better game mechanics and give us all your fucking money. Now, on a real, Chronicles was probably the best opportunity to remaster all of these classics, breathing new life into them with the added features of BO3. Chronicles wasn't a DLC as such, but rather a love letter to the community, bringing back 8 classics and ultimately cementing the golden age as untouchable. It was truly a community revival and a cultural reset. Would you believe that some people experience Kino or Ascension for the first time through Chronicles? It's crazy to me to think about. But this really was a final victory lap for the golden age, reuniting old players with the new ones and providing the biggest fan service possibly in gaming. We all want that Chronicles 2 as well, but it's starting to look more of an if rather than a when. But I'm sure it'll come just as the first one did, out of nowhere, and lighting us all up with hype and bringing us back together one more time. Anyway, thank you for joining me for this trip down memory lane, looking back at all these maps that didn't just define a game mode but built a community, sparked countless memories and shows us what passion and creativity can build. Whether it's clutching those high rounds, casual games with your friends...
How does this happen? Every single fucking game, you know what I'm stealing your fucking double points.
Chasing Easter eggs or just vibing to the best Easter egg songs available. This era gave us something special that still inspires zombies to this day. I hope this brought back some of those memories for you. If you like this video and want more like it, hit the like button, drop me some lore about your favourite zombies map in the comments, and subscribe for more videos like this. Let's keep the spirit of the golden age alive, because this isn't just a mode, it's a legacy we've all been part of. I'll catch you in the next one.